Welcome back to the Goatworn Armcast. Another week of premium grade sodium. Back at it again with me this week are Guthrum of Norvik, Just Eastern Thing, and the Shire Reeve. And we do have a guest this week. As you may have noticed, there is a recurring pattern. But before we get to that, first I think some congratulations are in order, since the Shire Reeve has announced that he's passed all his exams that he was taking. So big well done to you. I know that's a stressful arsehake of
man. Well, the stress of the exams was over because the exams were over, but it was just like that week or so of waiting. And I had to I think when I emailed my lecturer this morning, I think he kind of assumed that I knew that I'd passed them or something, because he was just talking to me about the lab bit that I need to do still, and yeah, I emailed him back afterwards, and he said, like, from what they've said from the meeting about it, the exam board, everything's fine. It's just the lab.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, whether you feel confident in the subject or not, exams are just stressful.
Well, the thing is, it was 8 exams in 5 days, so it was 1 a day for 2 days, and then 3 days of 2 a day, which was fucking intense, to be honest with you.
Sounds absolutely mental.
Yeah. I didn't think I was going to pass, but then I did. So there's that.
Awesome. So yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, you guys know how stressed out I was that week, anyway. But
yeah. You know, it's being still able to edit the podcast and pump out your beats on your end shows. It's quite some dedication on your part. But yeah, I'm sure people will join us in congratulating you on that. It's very well deserved.
Well done, mate.
Thanks, man.
We're wholesome here for the most part.
you guys are great. It's fine.
Oh, so Guthrum, how's the Slush Master treating?
Yes, the Slush Master.
Well,
that was a great snort down the microphone. I love that.
Have you used the drip tray yet?
You people are fucking.
Listen. No, I didn't have anything to say.
In answer to your question, no, I haven't used the
Slush Master. Wow, so you admit you have one?
The surface table yet.
That's what you call it.
Yes, because that's what it's called.
What are we on about? I don't actually know.
Oh yes.
So a quick recap. Was it last week or the week before?
No.
I think it might have been the week that Just These Things wasn't here, because we did talk about it on the podcast.
Yes.
I was getting melted with the sun. Apologies.
Yeah. I remember. That was a fucking hot week.
So basically, I've bought myself a new what's called a surface table. So it's just a big cast iron table that you use for marking out on. Its one and only purpose is to flat. But that's beside the point at the minute. So I posted to my, because I was rather excited about it. It was a big step up for me. I posted on my page, I've got a new toy coming, or something to that effect.
Why would you open yourself up to that?
You used rather phallic terminology.
Yes, and without fail, 3 people, including your Jarl Ashley, took it upon themselves to fill the comment section of my perfectly innocent post with vile.
No, your post riddled with innuendo that you didn't intend.
Fuck's sake. But yes, it made me laugh, even if it was inappropriate. And I did have to unfortunately take it all down.
Made your mum laugh too, didn't it?
Oh, shut up. Anyway, and they've taken to calling my surface table the Slush Master, whatever.
3000.
Just line in with the fact that you were on about felts earlier, and I'm beginning to worry for you, mate.
For anyone who picked up on it, I am currently working on a late military belt, and it's a slog. So that's
no, I think it's far more realistic that you're a sexual deviant.
Why not both? Anyway, move on.
No, I think I'll focus on this a little longer. So, if you're not using the drip tray... no, sorry. Just Eastern, what about you? How's your week?
I've done nothing. My friend is off at work. Me and him are on the same team, so work's been busy. I'm gonna really understate just how horrendously busy it's been. I was in a 6-hour meeting today.
Shit.
That was nice, yeah. But no, apart from that, absolutely bugger all. Video games, that's it.
Well, at least you're having fun. That's the important. So let's see. I've covered everyone else's business. So yeah, as of time check, 3 minutes ago, my web store went live. So you'll be able to timestamp this particular episode.
Yeah.
As to when it was recorded.
They'll be able to backtrack our weekly recording schedule and
just disassemble. But something I've been working on or working towards for quite some time. I've experimented with various suppliers and looked into various ways of doing it, but I've settled on Spreadshirt at the recommendation of the Shire Reef and Toby Doan, one of my guests and patrons. I've finally launched it. 4 designs. And hopefully people are going to like that, because I keep seeing comments of, if you put that on a t-shirt, I'll buy it. Well, now's your chance, you buggers.
I've already purchased a hat.
Yeah, I see you guys liked the Summon the League design.
Obviously. Oh yes, I've got it. I've ordered it on a snapback, so I can proudly wear it to events. Yeah,
I'm really pleased with the amount of time I put into drawing us all in the Ginyu Force pose.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a popular item, that one.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Even if Just Eastern is scaled entirely wrong for that picture, it doesn't matter.
No, but that's almost part of the meme, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. He's larger than life.
I thought just to make him feel better.
See, you're all chatting shit now, but you're going to be very, very difficult when you're all in spearing distance.
Yeah.
I'm a trilogy anyway.
I'm a non-combatant.
Is this a euphemism?
You think that matters?
Is this a euphemism?
Well, not for you.
Oh. I don't even know what that was an
I'm an OG anyway. I've got a year 1 Goatworn armband.
Hell yeah.
Mug.
You have actually. I messaged just before we actually chatted properly. I messaged Just Eastern with a bit of tantalising tidbits that he could use in the meme, and he goes, "Wait, hang on, are you associated with Goatworn Armband?" And I said, "Well, yes, of course I know him. It's me." And he kind of there's a little pause, and then he sent me a picture of him holding a one of the Tips Yermanboo Goatworn mugs with Voltov on it.
Beautiful. And
it started a beautiful relationship, which is largely me dunking on him for his height, and so I'm sure you don't regret that at all. But yeah, mind you, I'm not the only one who's gotten Just Eastern's proportions wrong recently. I saw someone made a crack and posted a picture of your totally real and not just a joke profile picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seemed to backfire spectacularly.
What's this?
I mean, if you're down to do stuff like that, it's fair. You go ahead. I'm up for a bit of banter, but don't leave a naked picture of yourself.
Is this Mr.
Expect me not to find it.
Oh, that was an interesting exchange.
Yeah. Mister, I like to pose naked in front of
Mate,
while I'm watching.
that was a tough wank.
Yeah, I can imagine it was.
But
Yeah.
tough.
I'm like I said, I'm always up for a little bit of banter or whatever, but just don't open yourself up if you're gonna try it.
If you yeah.
He now blocked himself from the page. I physically cannot tag him. I don't know how you do that. I've never heard of that before, but I actually can't tag him in anything now. He started and we won. Not very difficult battle either, to be fair.
He's a bit salty, you could say.
Oh dear. Well, salt and everything aside, we do have a guest this week, so I guess we should include them.
I guessed we should include them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right. So, without further ado, we'll introduce our guest this week, who's actually a member of my group, but hopefully they'll keep that quiet. We have. I don't know why that sounded so wrong.
Dox him.
Yeah, don't reveal my secret identity, even though most of Anglo-Saxon posting know who I am.
Well, you didn't help yourself there.
No,
What if Goatworn Armband and Just Eating Things are the same person? Have you ever seen them in the same place?
That would be hilarious.
Have you ever seen them in the same place?
It's gonna be mad when we do eventually meet up and the size proportions just don't line up.
You look nothing like
actually, it would probably, if we didn't have a C in between us, not that I'm going to be naming where we are, but we're probably closer than where I actually go to train. So
yeah, that's true.
So one day, I think we spoke about joint training before and we done it, but I was very hungover when that happened, so I didn't go.
Yeah. Well, in any case, our guest this week is one of my Patreon supporters and a member of my reenactment. So let's bring her on. Anna, welcome to the show.
Hello, hello.
So,
nice
tell us
to
a little
be here.
bit about yourself. Where, what got you into reenactments? Obviously, people know that you reenact my group, but specifically, what do you reenact?
And specifically, what group are you in? And what's the name of...
Oh dear, oh dear. You do have a habit of asking a lot of questions
Have you
in
met
a row there.
Alex?
It's very amusing.
Sorry, I do that.
Yeah.
I don't have related questions in one go. But yes, so first and foremost,
Okay.
how did you get into reenactment?
Okay. I've been interested in reenactment for a long time, since I was younger. I used to go to the Battle of Hastings event and Hurstmonceux Castle's medieval festival for many years. But whenever I spoke to any groups, they were like, so have you got a degree in history? What kind of qualifications do you have? And it just kind of put me off quite a bit.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
That's such a weird... I've never heard that. That's such a weird set of questions.
Very, very kind of...
prohibitive.
Yeah, very standoffish sort of thing. So, yeah, but if I had joined at that point, then I wouldn't have found this amazing groups that I'm with now, which I love and adore. I've only been in the group for a little over a year, really. They're like a second family, and I think it's worked out just perfectly. The time period is something I've been interested in for a long time, the Viking period, sort of Norse. And so meeting them and talking to them and getting accepted by them was really quite amazing. I do the Viking period, the Great Heathen Army period, same as Goatworn.
Yeah. that magical period of time where we came down and just absolutely dabbed on the north of England.
Yes.
We killed Ragnar Lothbrok. They'll leave us alone now.
Moment.
The army go brrr.
Yeah, allow us to introduce ourselves. But yeah, so
sad Anglo-Saxon noises.
Yeah, and then suddenly Alfred the Great intensifies.
Happy Anglo-Saxon noises.
Yeah, so you say that obviously specifically Great Heathen Army period and Viking Age. What do you reenact as a portrayal and an interpretation?
So my role, I'm still building, being quite a new member. I've been starting from the bottom and sort of working my way up. But my portrayal will slowly become it's sort of going to sort of turn into a religious-ish portrayal, but not the stupid magical fantasy
Yeah.
swear word insert swear word here. It's kind of stuff that you see in groups. It is going to be historically researched and find based sort of role, and sort of using, because I've been studying paganism and witchcraft and sort of things since I was in my teens, so it will be based on sort of cultural ideas of pagan sort of study and things as well. Trying to get it right, where so many of people have got it wrong. That's my greatest goal.
Yeah, that's quite a difficult task as well, because
yes. I like making it hard for myself.
We know so little. Yeah. Oh dear, it started already. So, but prior to this, starting recording, the league were a kind of, oh, should we be on our best behaviour because she's a lady? And we're going to find out in very short order that Anna is not a lady. But, yeah, I'll let that evolve naturally. So, to your portrayal, that's the Vulva, isn't it? The Viking Age CRS.
This is where everyone who has never heard of this term before is going, the what?
Ooh.
Yes. That's what they say. That's what they say around here. You were.
Yeah. What's she doing portraying a car?
Yes.
Yes, that's definitely the car and not lady bits.
Yeah.
Yes, the first time I read the word, I was like, wait a minute, what did I just read? Yeah, the sort of the role has kind of been building for a while. My interest in sort of Scandinavian historical sort of magical practices and religious practices is growing very quickly, and I do find it a very fascinating subject. Very luckily, there does seem to be an emergence of a lot of other people who are getting into that side of things, so there is a lot more articles appearing and sort of things, which is quite handy.
Well, I've always said this to a few fellow members of Regia who do more of the religious stuff. Like, it's genuinely interesting to see a well done interpretation of what Norse paganism was, because you just see this this modern asatru bollocks so frequently that when you see it done properly, it's really refreshing. I mean, I'm not religious, and the main person I've spoken to this about in my group is Christian, but it's just about seeing the interpretations brought to life that's really fascinating. And I think it's the same for a lot of different portions of reenactment, but it's really nice to see it done properly.
Yeah.
There's plenty to go on in terms of archaeology, like for just finds to round out the actual physical portrayal. I know because you've been using the Firecat grave a lot, if I'm not mistaken.
For research, yes.
Yeah. Because that contains, amongst other things, a stave, which is for those who aren't too familiar with the Vulva grave. Is a find with a metal, an iron weaving distaff. That's it, distaff. Thank you, Anna. So, because the Vulvas were said to weave magic, like the Norns did. So it's a very metaphorically weaving, but with an iron stave. Iron being a bit more, having a lot more connotations in a lot of older religions.
Cool. Yeah, it does.
So there's that in there, and there's a box, very well decorated. It's really beautiful, actually, and I'd love to see a recreation of, which contained, I think, henbane.
Yes, henbane seeds.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And what would henbane be used for?
The seeds I believe, would have been used for
as a herbal remedy,
so
or
like no, not as a remedy,
right.
but as a sort of a state-altering kind of thing.
Okay.
It's a drug.
Trying to find the right wording there, but yes, I believe it's something I'm still looking into, the herbal sort of.
I suppose a lot of it
uses at that point.
Yeah, I suppose a lot of it is seeing what the effects are, like, that we know of, and trying to backtrace, because I suppose we'll never know what they used everything for.
Yeah,
in that
kind
of thing.
I mean, there's a lot of information. There is information out there on the uses of herbs throughout history, and it's kind of trying to piece together the information that would make sense for that time period.
It comes back to the problem of with our period anyway. The problem of survival bias and the fact the Vikings didn't write anything down.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Damn you.
Not having the
but yes, but that gravesite is definitely one of the more complete for a Vulva's burial. There are a couple more, I believe, which are more partial, but there are similar finds that connect with other ones as well, like the distaff.
Yeah, I was about to say distaff. I've seen several examples, so they're fairly widespread.
That's kind of nice to find sometimes. If there's more than one and spread more widely, it gives the impression, you can kind of take that it's not just a one-off, that someone happened to go, I think I'll spend this month's gold on a iron distaff for my weaving. It is
much too heavy to actually use.
Yeah. Because a friend of mine who's also in our group actually has a recreation of one of these distaffs, and I can't remember if it's the Firecat one or one of the others.
So you're saying you don't know if it's distaff or dat staff?
Okay, well done, fair play.
Wow.
I can't be mad at that.
I was holding that in for the perfect moment.
Crikey.
That was well timed, well played.
That was shocking.
Good show, sir. But yes, so they I've joked about it before when we do displays that I use it like a a TV antennae to get in contact with the gods when we do our little silly shows. But yeah, I know we've had a lot of long chats on the subject on trips to events, and
Yes.
there's quite a jarring difference between possibly what's in as much as you've told me what you expected from Norse mythology and Norse heathenry to what is actually kind of known in historical context.
It's a pretty common theme, I think.
Because we did I went to a rune session with Anna. It was a friend of yours doing a talk on how he'd lived and breathed the runes, and then turned out he didn't know the first fucking thing about them.
How does one live and breathe an alphabet?
Yeah.
That was it. So, of course, like, I think we'd had a previous conversation on like how they're used historically, and I think that I spent a lot of that session biting my tongue,
Giggling to yourself.
No, I mean I did have some kind of non-salty inputs in.
I think the problem is that people do claim it's historical. I mean, if you want to do it as a modern pagan thing, that's your whoever's prerogative. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a difficult subject. I do know a lot of heathens, and I don't always agree with what they're saying and things. When it comes to historical stuff, then there are it's very definite of what is there and what isn't there.
Yeah.
When it comes to someone's spiritual path, you can't really argue with that because that is their spiritual path. They're not saying that they're doing it historically correctly or whatever. So it's tricky ground.
It's why I didn't mind this chap so much, because he was pretty honest in the whole thing was his his take on it. Yeah, his relationship. Whole thing.
I see. Okay.
And he was. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, he hasn't read any books on the runes at any point, and all he has done is meditated with the runes and spent time sort of spiritual time with the runes, and has the answers that he's got from that is what he was explaining and talking about.
He was genuinely grateful for the insight from a historical as well. He didn't get salty as some people might.
No,
but yeah, it's quite an interesting. That's an understatement. It's a fascinating area of what we research and portray, because it's a lot of you've got to research into what's not said and what hasn't been recorded and what hasn't.
Well, in parallel, we know a lot, quite a lot about Anglo-Saxon Christianity. So it's
they were writing shit down.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting to see what we know about one side versus what we don't know about. What we know about the other, and seeing, and obviously a lot of evidence we have of Norse paganism is written down either too late or by English people or Anglo-Saxons mostly.
Yeah.
So it's and you're always going to have that bias when it's being written down by people who aren't of that religion.
Yeah.
You're relatively new to the hobby, Anna. What's your
yes?
Yeah. What? So a couple of things now. What's your favourite thing that you've learned about the period that you didn't know getting into it? As a result of getting into the hobby and getting into Viking reenactment, what bit did you learn and go, holy shit, that's awesome?
Most of what I've learned I think. There's not one thing. Honey butter is definitely one I am going, oh my god,
yeah.
this is
good
luxurious.
Shit. Good shit.
But yeah, pretty much everything that I've learned has been awesome and amazing, and just makes me want to learn more. But yeah, there's not one thing in particular that's stuck out. It is mainly just everything that I've learned so far, and the biggest thing for me, because I'm not a very academic person, so learning from the other people in the group, and having the more intellectual people in the group there to be able to pick their brains on something, or ask for help on research, has been really a big blessing for me. If you're in a group, then the people in that group are there as a source of information, as well as people you hang out with. It's brilliant. I love it.
So you've only been doing this for a little over a year, but what would you say is your favourite event that you've taken part of? Or if not an event, what's your favourite anecdote about it?
Oh goodness. Each event has its own sort of special memories, I should say. I think Temple Coombe is going to be my favourite event for quite a while, because it was my first event. And everything about it was
for a first event
was awesome. Yeah, it was just such an amazing event. It was really brilliant. I think mainly because being able to turning up but not knowing anyone, and automatically being welcomed by everyone in the group, and made to feel completely at home very, very quickly was really something that just made that event for me. I do love Hastings. This year was insanely wet and muddy, or last year's one.
It was.
Yeah, it was just mad. And although a lot of people were getting very grumpy and annoyed with it, I was just on top of the world. I was absolutely loving every minute of that event.
Was it your first Hastings? I take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, first Hastings is magnificent.
Yeah. The thing is, because I'd gone to that event so many times as a member of public. I was the same,
actually. Sorry.
Yeah.
Last year was my first Hastings as well, but I've been to it since I was about, 8 or 9. So, I'm very familiar with the layout of the event and everything. But doing it as a reenactor was a slightly different experience. Well, very different experience. The strangest thing was being a local guiding other reenactors to the pubs.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
I completely understand that, though.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in Hastings. The Battle of Hastings was ingrained in me from an early age, in history lessons, in class. I lived very, very close to Hastings Castle. So everything about Battle of Hastings was is ingrained in my kind of in my unconscious and everything. So going to that event and being part of that event was really just, I was sky high for that one. I was absolutely loving it. I didn't care that the weather was awful. I didn't care that it was muddy. I was absolutely loving it. I was cheering like mad at the sidelines of the battle, and I was really loving it.
I confirm, honestly, without any bullshit, I was in the line and I could hear, "Give it up for the Anglo-Saxons," and I'd hear you get that wall of noise from the audience, that kind of "Whoa!" And then just in the middle of it, above everyone else, was "Whoa! Whoa!" And like you do that kind of whistle as well, and a real whoop.
Yeah.
Like, and I looked over, and I was able to pinpoint you in the audience. You were that. It made such a distinct noise.
Yes.
Also jumping up and down.
That was such a wet event.
It was.
I remember they had to close one of the sides because people kept falling over.
One of ours came a cropper on that one.
Yeah. I think we had a conversation about this actually because we were talking also about how drunk people fall in there. I'll have to show you guys the picture of it that we took with our group because it's atmospheric as hell.
Yeah. So, favourite anecdotes, favourite events. What's your favourite bit about reenact? I think you kind of said in general terms about what you love about it, but if you had to pick one thing, what's your favourite bit that you would recommend as a new reenactor to other people wanting to join? What would be your, your selling point?
Oh, that is hard. I think just the immersion into a different time period is in itself, it's relaxing. It's exciting. I can't think of the word, but it really just gives you a sense of something more. Going through your day-to-day life. I work in a shop, in a supermarket, and day-to-day life is very kind of humdrum. And then going out for the weekend to an event, and immersing myself into this different time period. Away from mobile phones, away from social media, TVs, and everything, and literally just having that human connection with people. Teaching the members of the public about history in a way that you can get up close and personal with, and feel fabrics and see things as they would have been. That is just it's just another level. I just love it. I just wish I'd started sooner. I'm I'm in my 30s now, and I wish I'd gotten into this a lot sooner. But I think it was the right time for me to do it, and I found the right group. So
I don't know about you, but I've always found that like myth busting to the public is always a good one, because you get to dispel the misconceptions people have. I don't know if you found the same, but I've always enjoyed that. I've always I know a lot of reenactors don't care that much about the education side, but I've always found it quite important.
Public suck.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, the public do suck, but
is that real shoes? Yes. What about food? Also real.
Oh, my favourite one is.
What about that baby?
Is that a real baby? Yeah, it's.
No, it's never.
Don't. I'm gonna get that next year. Don't, please. Don't tell me that's stupid.
I haven't had much of that. I haven't had much of that yet. Being a newer sort of member of the sort of reenactment group, I wasn't really sure about answering questions to people and things, because I still wasn't quite sure of my knowledge. At Hastings, I just seemed to get all of the old guys coming up to me, the old boys, sort of coming and asking what I was doing, or because I was sewing most of the time. I seem to be, whenever I'm at a reenactment, I seem to be sewing, and hopefully soon we'll be doing some tablet weave on my very exciting and new, authentic tablet weave loom.
So hint, Goatworn, hint was what that was, because So for the best part of a year, I've had this loom that I've made for Anna. Now, the first one I had got destroyed by water damage in my store. Then I was partway through making the second one when COVID happened, which meant for the last 4 months or so, I've had it and I've been able to work on it, but we've not been able to see each other to make for it to change hands.
The goods.
And then it's just been one thing after another. Being ill, where I really didn't want to be answering the door. The other weekend, where I was basically glued to the ceramic. So yeah, it's waiting.
It's a saga.
It is a saga.
But it will turn into a wonderful story of how I got my loom.
Yeah,
whenever someone asks me about it.
I'm almost tempted to pyrograph bottom of it, so it won't show up at events, but you can see it for yourself. A little mini saga of the story. But all those things about joining a group and everything, I got to see it firsthand with Anna, because the first event of last year was when she turned up to our living history display and was asking from display to display and just loading up on information. See you drinking in. The very next event you were there, full kit, joining in the camp and just immersing yourself. So a real success story, I feel.
It's always interesting seeing the confidence of people grow as they get into reenactment. I've seen it in myself as well. Like with for a little while I was quite timid when I first joined, and then I've now sort of grown into myself.
It's one of those really supportive communities that does bring out the best in a lot of.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I found, definitely.
So, we've talked about the best of people. Now let's look at the the shady side of it. It is time for Father.
Yeah.
So this will be an education. As we've been doing week on week, we've tried to focus on constructively breaking these down where there is constructive comments to make. I know a couple of them have just been a case of, oh god, that shit, take it away from my eyes. But we got one this week it's kind of there and it isn't. But I'll let Guthrum of Norvik introduce it to our eyeball.
So here it is.
Direct ourselves to the picture in question.
Yes.
Give us a breakdown, Guthrum. What are we looking at here?
Well, so soft kit isn't my specialty, so I can really point out the really glaring things. Thing that sticks out most to me is, as it describes the preamble, the breast embroidery makes move. It's got moves.
Breast enhancers.
Yes, the breast enhancers. That's the word.
They look like very knotty penis.
Yes,
Ooh,
they look like
yes, they do.
A pair of willies pointing up at the chap's face. ready for the money shot.
Literally calling him a dickhead.
I can't believe I didn't see that the first, as soon as I saw that. But yes, I definitely see that now.
What's that? Sorry, I've. What are we looking at?
We're looking at the Fab of the Week.
Breast enhancers.
No, I know. But
penises.
Oh, they do.
They do. Pair of Kirby penises ready for the money shot.
Veiny beasts.
Yeah.
And obviously there's the raven ones in the middle as well. Bit ish.
Yeah, like obviously it's a period design, but not for embroidery.
Yeah, the thing is with period designs, they're all well and good so long as they're used in a similar medium.
Yeah.
So this one I believe comes from coinage. So
yes, that's right. Yes, I can't remember who, but it's one of the famous.
It's like putting I'm really naff with things. Anyway, it's the equivalent of embroidering an exact copy of a runestone on neckline. It's just not done.
A couple of things I've noticed. A couple of things I've noticed. The shoes appear to have bone toggles. They could be leather, but from their
they look like bone rags.
No. That's what it was. Yeah. That's because if they were leather, they'd be dyed the same color as the rest of the shoe.
Yeah, they'd be the same.
So the bone toggles. I mean, there are worse sins in reenactment, but it's not ideal. The leg wraps look like felted, non-woven wool, which is, as the others will know, a big gripe of mine. Trousers actually look okay, but they look a bit. They might be cotton. I can't quite tell, but I think they're linen.
It's quite an attractive shade. It's like
it's all right actually. The sleeves on the tunic are a good length actually. You want that kind of length on them, but then they're not very tight. They're very, very baggy. He could be doing well. No, they're a Western group, aren't they? So there's no real reason for it. Again, not really a terrible sin, reenactment wise. I don't think the weaving pattern on his belt is authentic, but I could be wrong. So don't quote me on that.
He's wearing a brooch to use his neckline.
Yes, I did notice that. I can't tell if it's like tied to his beard or if it's just on the neckline. That'd be good, wouldn't it? When he turns his head, it swings and bats people.
No, I was thinking if it's still connected to his shirt, if he turns his head, it's going to rip his beard out at the root.
Oh no. I'd say the neckline facing is very large.
I thought that might be the case.
It's actually, I think it's the Bayer tapestry style, and it's Anglo-Saxon, but it's like a huge version of that.
We've got the beard bead. They're not kosher.
Yeah, that goes without saying, I feel. Oh, and the massive Thor's hammer, because he has a massive knob. That's what it means.
He's got two massive knobs.
Yeah.
The third one might be a bit smaller.
We've spoken about
compensating.
Yeah. Well, we've spoken about this before, but obviously, like massive, those massive ones are usually women's jewelry, so it's a bit overcompensated.
The chain seems a bit.
We have some pretty heavily built chain, to be fair.
Yeah, but would they be that long?
No, I doubt it. I don't think we have ones that long.
No.
So with my neck chains, I have one that comes down to the sternum, but that's the seal matrix, so it's like a badge of office in for the impression I use it for. The other one's shorter than that. The length he's got it at would actually be uncomfortable to wear, I think, because it's like almost at his belly.
With the embroidery, do we actually have evidence of embroidery on tunics at all?
Yes.
Yes.
We have a lot of manuscript evidence for Anglo-Saxons, especially. We also have evidence of in manuscripts showing Vikings, or what are either Vikings or what are almost certainly Vikings. An example I can think of is the Tiberius Psalter, where Goliath, who is depicted as a biblical enemy, hence why he is a biblical enemy, which is why it's reckoned that he is depicted as a Viking, and he has circular and line embroidery on his tunic.
Well, so given that we
with some knot work as well.
Yeah. We also have the Mammon embroidery on the cloak.
All that is almost certain.
Say again, Tom.
I say that is almost certainly Coptic, however.
Say that one more time.
I said the Mammon embroidery is almost certainly Coptic in origin.
Yeah.
So, to play devil's advocate then, if we know that they had embroidery, and we know that what he has on his tunic are Norse style. Is this a reasonable interpretation?
The dicks,
like an extrapolation?
I actually don't know anything about the design specifically. They could be authentic. The problem with them is they're on his moobs, right? They're not around his neck. From what I know, we don't have any evidence for them outside of the neck facing, unless there is no neck facing. In which case, they're where the neck facing would be.
Right.
So you'd have embroidery on a neck facing, or you'd have no neck facing and just embroidery around the neck.
I see. Right. So they're not necessarily wrong in terms they're not.
The ravens, I would say, probably aren't accurate. But
they almost look like bows. The ravens.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But if they look like little yellow bows.
Yeah,
the wing parts aren't very
that's adorable.
defined.
But
it is kind of cute.
No, he's a manly man.
If he had his hair in like pigtails hanging down, it would look like he's got bows on the ends of them.
If he lined his beard up.
Oh man!
I've destroyed his masculinity. But in terms of the embroidery, I wouldn't say it's the fact it's embroidered, it's how the embroidery has been achieved.
Placed.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And I mean, the facing, let's say it had no embroidery, that facing would still be fucking massive.
Yeah.
Like, that is huge.
So, is this like...
It is kind of out of proportion.
Yeah.
Really.
So is this like our Farb last week, where they were, because they'd gotten enough right.
So much right,
The bits that were wrong are more. It's that uncanny valley. The closer it is to the real thing, the more the bits that aren't stick out.
Yeah, I mean, with the Farb, we can say, with a true, Godspeed damned, that's a Farb. We can say, oh, it's okay that this is wrong because everything else is wrong. Whereas now we're, like, let's say, for example, I think the difference with, like, pure Farbs is that we're not actually going into individual items and saying this is what's wrong in this item. So, for example, if they have a tunic and tunic's maybe not the best example. If they have, say, a shield and their shield is completely wrong, then we don't look at it any deeper. But let's say you had a Farb like this, and their shield was well constructed but had a non-period design, we'd be going, well, it's got a non-period design. Whereas we don't even need to cover that if it's completely wrong. If that makes any sense.
Of course, yeah, and I think this is kind of very useful in the way that this is so close to being right that with a little work, this would be perfect.
Let's think about what he could do. Let's think about what he could do to replace. He could easily change the toggles over on the boots, although even that could be left, and it would still be a better impression if he changed some other bits. The leg wraps will do, but ideally, again, I would change them. The tunic, you know what? Well, no, I don't think you could keep that tunic because it's, if you were being like true, I'm sure he's very happy with it or whatever. But a decent, fairly simple tunic with nice arm tapering, a proper facing, and some different embroidery. And a leather belt and a smaller Thor's hammer would go a long way.
Yeah. That the more I look at it, the more that tunic seems ill-fitting.
Around the shoulders.
I have a suspicion that's an off-the-peg tunic. Rather than
I think it's probably off the peg, and then they've
embroidered it.
He's added the embroidery on. The thing is with the embroidery is that it's on edging. From what I've seen, it seems more common on like edging.
Yeah, on
and
facings.
like around the neckline.
So
but where it's placed is just really not right. And the thing is also with edging, it would be more easy to take off and add to another piece if the actual fabric of the tunic began to
That's
wear.
actually spot
they
on.
could keep the embroidery, because that would take a long time to do the embroidery on something like that.
That's actually spot on, because most of the embroidery use in terms of modern construction of period tunics, most of the times you see embroidery done, they do it on a separate panel and then stitch that panel onto the which explains a significant amount. It's interesting you mentioned that, because I hadn't thought about that one.
I mean, the thing is, if you think about the amount of time someone would have had to be hunched over,
and if you're carrying the weight of
design,
a full tunic rather than just like the bit you're working on,
it makes more sense, because you can also get a very nice flat design on a different piece of fabric to then put onto the tunic, whereas if you're working with the tunic, it will bunch up the tunic and then it will make that look very wrong. I've seen that on some cloaks and things, and it does end up like pinching the cloak, which then makes the fall of the cloak look very wrong.
So in terms of facings and embroidery, embroidery you see all throughout the Viking Age. So you see it from the early Viking Age to the late Viking Age, but facings you don't actually see early on. You see decoration with tablet and so on early on, but you don't see facings until about the 1060s, 1070s. Possibly a bit earlier, maybe if you're being generous, 1040s onwards. So that's why you can see the embroidery without a facing, because there are periods where they just don't seem to have done it. But this combination isn't something we see, basically.
No, it definitely needs to be up nearer the neckline, but if it's going to be anywhere.
I would just like to add some on the end of that regarding the dating of the facings, because I know someone's probably going to bring it up. The Carolingian Psalters, which tend to date to the 9th century.
Yes, that's true.
It is not entirely clear if these reflect contemporary styles or reflect earlier Roman styles.
Yeah. Are you talking about the ones with the straight taping?
Yes.
Yeah, I know the ones.
Yes.
It's difficult to say. I think, though, I wouldn't take that as evidence for Norse or Anglo-Saxon, but at the same time we have bugger all pictorial sources for Norse anyway, which doesn't help.
But because I know someone is going to bring it up.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they always do. It's useful for certain things where there is literally dick diddly.
Yeah.
So, for example, there's one specific figure that shows quite nicely a Langsax sheath.
Yes, I know the one you mean, yeah.
Buckle for Langsax sheaths of the period.
Yeah.
So we have for something that is kind of, necessary to take from it. But whereas
I will add, most groups won't authenticate necklines. So, like, as long as they're correct in general, let's say, for example, my 11th century tunic, with Regia, I will personally be using it for other periods inside that as well, because it's my only decent tunic. I have another decent tunic, but it's also the same type of neckline. Because tunics, they aren't cheap. Even, to make one takes time, and to buy one takes money. And realistically, you can't expect people to have a tunic for every single dateline, which is why you won't see necklines authenticated in most societies.
So why I will probably never have faced tunic. A, because I don't like them, because they restrict.
But Byzantine silk.
I shall get plenty of the Byzantine silk.
No, you're poor. You can't have that.
Sad blacksmith.
Know your place, peasant.
Once again, Jupiter Ram's cocking ass.
You lot wander around in your fancy Roman armor, and I'm just gonna be fucking vibing in a toga. It's gonna be brilliant.
Oh, that would be
Absolutely
good.
brilliant. 4 foot power, they're gonna call me.
Oh, the Shorticus Ramicus ass.
My mate, if I get you off, then it keeps me in power.
Oh, goodness me.
Yeah, late Roman is an absolute. And incidentally, I'm still working on this fucking. I am.
Is he cutting out for anybody? It seems like his sentences are cutting out towards
Oh
the
no,
end.
it seems alright. It seems alright.
Okay, it might just be me then.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in the internet decided to go, hey, have you signed in lately?
Oh
Oh
man,
dear.
I love that.
So,
Scores?
where are we up to? We good? Yeah,
I was
scores?
thinking
Cool.
he'd gone surprisingly quiet.
Yeah. I know, I'm usually so vocal. So, what are we scoring this gentleman? Guthrum of Norvik, you brought him to the table. What are you going to carve him up as?
Don't do me like that. He's going to come after me now. I don't give. Oof. I think he's made an effort. As we've said, it's just the details that let him down. So I'm going to score him, I think, 6 threads out of 10 out of a dodgy, bloody, penile embroidery patch.
Damn, I was going to use embroidered penises as my metric.
Same. Damn it.
Alright,
So, 6 out of
Anna,
10.
what would you give him?
Oh,
6 out of 10.
God. It's difficult because it could be there, but it's just
Yeah.
not quite right. I was going to say I would give him 1 embroidered penis out of 2. I can't think of a different.
A
I
different
took that.
metric.
It's just the penis is in my head and I cannot get it out.
Damn it, woman!
Oh, I'm surprised
Yay, perfect snort.
I'll get to a woman joke first.
It's alright. I mean, to be honest, lucky Ross wasn't here because penis would have been stuck in your head earlier, I
Good
suppose.
grief.
Oh no.
Yes,
I'm
indeed.
surprised it took that long to get to that as well.
Yes. Yes, okay.
But compose ourselves.
Yeah. Just Eastern Things, what are you going to score him?
You can have 4 out of 10 naked fat man pics.
Oof!
Oh,
That's a cheeky reference.
Meta.
Meta indeed.
Shari, what are you plump for?
See, as Tom disgustingly stole my metric, I'm going to give him 6 out of 10 bone toggles out of a pile of bone toggles. Because I it's funny because I thought 6 out of 10 and then Tom said it and I pretty much agree. He is more there than not, but he's still got a bit to go. Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to give him the vinegar strokes because he's almost there.
Now what?
Am I supposed to understand that reference?
goodness.
We're not stroking anybody on this podcast, mate. Alright?
Anna's sniggering, she knows.
Can someone explain this?
So the vinegar strokes is as you approach orgasm, because as you approach orgasm, you make a face like you've just swallowed vinegar. So, hence it being known, the last few thrusts are called the vinegar strokes.
This is the first time I've heard this, unsurprisingly.
And I absolutely love that of all the people who got that, Anna was down to clap.
I've just never heard the expression. Although I'm concerned that you know what I look like when I'm about to come.
Hang on.
With the chocolate we shared in the group chat, I'm not entirely surprised it's not in there, to be honest, Reeve.
Hang on, haven't we got that what she sees pic of you, Reeve?
No. I was just showing off my armour. Okay.
Insert picture here.
What a lovely note to end on. Thinking of all the league's various cum faces.
Oh, dear me.
Now I'm just picturing Guthrum of Norvik heaving away on his slush 5,000.
Oh, you bastard.
This is why we have the drip tray.
Oh, fuck off. There was this. That just reminded me of one of the rare things I can remember when I was at high school. It wasn't that long ago. There was one of those stupid things going around, you know, silly little jokey things, where they'd try and work out your finishing face, I should call it. What they'd do is they'd grab your pinky finger and middle right finger, then your index finger and your middle finger, and they'd twist it slightly uncomfortably, and apparently that was meant to be your finishing face. And mine was literally just because I've got quite a high pain tolerance, being me. Mine was literally just flat face. I just ow. For some reason, they found that fucking hilarious.
I'm trying to think, like, Just Eastern thing, rabbiting away, like, you know, just an exaggerated small person. All of them getting the Joker, the Jester's shoes, and yeah.
See, what I want to do, I've actually ordered a hat from your new merchandise store. I want to when we all finally meet up, I want to get the picture on the hat and take it to Just Eastern Things and see which is taller.
I think when we all meet up, we need to try and do that pose.
Oh, hell yeah! Alternatively, the scene from Blacked, the meme.
Yes.
Yes. Because the rest of us are over 6 foot.
Why not both?
Yeah. No, honestly, if we carry on, we're going to turn up, and Just Eastern Things is going to turn up dressed in a trench coat with a shotgun.
No. He's going to be dressed in that balaclava.
Yeah, pumped up kids intensifies.
Yeah, balaclava and a pipe bomb.
It's just, yeah, it's like, oh, what? Just Eastern Things. What are you reenacting? Oh, Charlie Hebdo, and just yeah.
Oh, good grief.
Oh dear. On that note,
yeah, on that note.
And now for something completely different.
Yes.
bloody hell's bells.
If you like that, you'll hate this.
Hello, FBI.
MI5.
We have fun. So, yeah, we reached the end of another salty session. Big thank you to our guest this week, Anna, who has given some really valuable insight into being a newbie in reenactment and giving that side of things. Because obviously the rest of us have been doing it a little while now. So it's always good to hear from someone who's just joined the hobby. And it's just always a pleasure to have someone on the show who... Oh, you know what I forgot to ask? What's your favourite comic?
Aww. Oh goodness.
Oh, we got
Um,
that ego stroke.
yeah,
stroke
he's
like-
gotta have the ego stroke, doesn't he?
Maybe for her.
What you mean? He's gonna have his ego stroked on the Goatworn Armcast?
Oh, what a surprise!
Yeah.
I have some favourites, mainly because they're people that I know. Some of the cartoons are ones that I've been there. I think those are the best ones. If I've been there and I know what happened, then seeing the comic appear is the best. But yeah, I don't have one specific favourite, but I think ones of people I know is always nice to see. Oh no, wait a minute, the peacock one.
Yes. Come here,
The
you
peacock one.
polychromatic bastard.
Yes, I like that. I wasn't there for that event, very disappointingly, but I did love that. I thought that was brilliant. Yeah.
I think it's great that anyone who's ever spent time near a peacock knows exactly.
Yes.
Ah!
Right.
Yeah.
Should we round this one off then?
Fair enough.
Before we
All right.
trail off.
Well, thank you, Anna,
Thank
for
you for-
taking part.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, don't worry. It's been a pleasure.
It's been good fun.
Yeah, it's been great.
God, that dirty giggle. Right, so
Yeah,
can we get that clip?
Yes.
No.
So it is a thank you from myself, Goatworn Armbands. A thank you to Guthrum of Norvik, Just Eastern Thing, Shy Reeve, and our guest this week, Anna, and we will see you next week for more salty goodness.
Bye. See you all next week.
Goodbye.
Also,
You've
bye,
called-
See you later.
You've called me Just Eastern Thing.